It's like this, isn't it? The royal wave? I'll give you the royal wave. Huh? The queen wave.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the 2023 Annual CPC Televised Meeting. I'm Nathan Maltinsky, the chair. I'd like to open the meeting tonight. The Mills Community Preservation Committee will hold a public hearing on Thursday, December 14th, 2023 at 7 p.m. in room 229, the Veterans Memorial Building, 900 Main Street, Millis. The purpose of this hearing is to obtain comments from the public on issues related to Community Preservation Fund. Like I said, I'm Nathan Maltinsky, chair of the CPC. To my left, we have Alan Handel, who is a member at large, Kathy McGinnis, Jim McKay, Dave Baker, Ellen Rosenfeld, Mary Ellen Espinoza, sorry. Absent tonight is Wendy Barry, who's our treasurer, and Pam Room Mustard, who's teaching tonight, so she's not available. Tonight we have one presentation by Dr. David Werner. He's part of the Oak Grove Farm Commission. We've awarded the Oak Grove Farm Committee money for restoration and rehab for the farm, and Dr. Werner will be giving his presentation here in a little bit. I'll give you a quick, since Wendy's not here tonight, I'll give you a quick rundown of the funds that we have available. At the town meeting, we were appropriated $33,509 for open space, historic resource, community housing, and then $80,000 to the budget reserve, of which the open space has a balance of $39,139.40. Historic resources has $163,473.37. Community housing has a current balance of $215,154. Budget reserve has a balance of $80,000. Undesignated fund balance has $1,031,431.54. That total balance is $1,529,198.31. Currently, also for our operating budget, we budgeted $8,378 for operating salaries, and there's a balance. Expended was $694.08, leaving a balance of $7,683.92. Expense budget is the same as salary budget. Long-term debt principal, budgeted $20,000, expended $20,000. I believe that's for the Veterans Memorial Building. Interest payment. Short-term debt, we have nothing. Long-term debt interest, $8,950. Expended to date, $4,225, with $4,725 available. We have about 8 or 9 items here that we've awarded money to before. Niagara Fire Engine House Phase 4, which has a balance of $2,552.94. Housing production is balance is 0. Niagara Hall Record Preservation, $6,317.36. Digitation of the Hindi Rosenfeld collection, $161.06. Preservation and rehab of the HF Walling map, $600. Memorial Fields Improvement Project, $49.99. Preserve and rehab HF Walling map, a balance of $52.50. The Millis High School dugout project has a 0 balance. Soundproofing for the pickleball tennis courts, balance of $1,998.85. And the Oak Grove Farm Trail improvements, which was awarded $51,513.02, has a balance of $43,169.46.
No. 32, the one above it. You read the total.
Oh, okay, $43,169.46.
I think it's about 32, too.
Yeah, 32. Do you have a different page?
I have a different number.
Yeah, this is different than mine.
How come?
This is updated cohesively.
Which one's updated? All your other numbers were right.
This is
Use the one in
this
your
is
packet.
December
Mine were
11th.
Here,
different
right
all
there.
along.
Here,
The
right
one in
here.
your packet is correct.
Right here, 32.2.
Okay. So the total balance is $32,200.69. Sorry, we have a conflicting schedules here. Great, thank you. State match this year, which is not really a match, but it's the extra money that we get from the state. We got $51,620. Last year was $76,000 and change. That all is, varies on the Registry of Deeds is where all the funding comes from all the transactions at the Registry of Deeds. Home sales have been down, so that's why our amount this year has been down. We do not have a matching, second or third round like some other towns do. If you have a 3% surcharge, you receive second and third funding from the state. Medway is part of that campaign, but we do not have that. We do have a 1% surcharge on the tax, on the medium tax base of your home, and we do have the senior discount on the surcharge also. Anybody have any input, any questions? All right, thank you. So tonight we have Dr. David Werner from the Oak Grove Farm Commission, and he's going to give a presentation on the Oak Grove Farm Trail Improvements Project. Dr. Werner?
Thank you, and Dave is fine. As you can see, we're pretty much completely indebted to the CPC for all our funding. And it is much appreciated by us, and the feedback we've had from the community so far has been really very warm and kind. It's also important that I credit Jim McKay and his folks, Dave Ramachi. They, in the middle of summer when they were incredibly busy, they donated some of their guys and their equipment. We just took the material out of the CPC budget, so Jim, we're indebted to you as well, and much
Just glad you
appreciated.
got Dave Ramachi's name correct. That's.
Dave, I hope you're out there and appreciate it. And I want to, besides the folks on the committee, John McAvoy's our chair, Sue McAvoy, Rob Elberry, and Steve McGinnis. These folks put in so many hours, day in and day out. It's, when I volunteered to be on this commission, I thought I'd make a few lucid comments and my job would be done, and I didn't realize how much work was involved and how much people do work. And these folks have mostly been on the commission for 30-plus years, and they do an amazing job, and their dedication is amazing. Horace Aikman is a personal friend and a registered landscape architect, and Horace has helped immensely on drafting of plans. He did the maps for the trails, all of this at no charge. And as a former member of the Dover Conservation Commission, he's been really helpful in giving us suggestions in that angle. Steve Vitale, a local Millis guy, is under contract with us, but has volunteered probably as much time as he's been paid for. When I've needed measurements or advice, Steve's been right there every minute, and I just can't thank him enough. Needless to say, I think it's an incredibly beautiful place. I think it's the treasure, the crown jewel of Millis. And if you get beyond the playground and beyond the fields and walk the trails, excuse me, you're looking at land and a landscape that's relatively unchanged since the 17th century. That's when this land was first farmed. And while it might have been altered slightly in its various iterations, dairy farm for most of its life, the opportunity to go back and see how things were 300 years ago, I think is exquisite. I think it's an incredibly beautiful place. Whatever season of the year, whatever place you are on the property, there are sights that, like this sunset, literally take your breath away. I'm there every day. I'm a psychologist, so I have to give this pitch. I think that the best thing that anybody can do for their mental health is get outside and walk. And I don't know if I'd be able to keep my sanity if I couldn't spend an hour a day at Oak Grove. This is one case in which I take my own prescription. I'm not going to comment on the rest. This last picture, for those of you who don't know, this is, and I'm not going to tell you where it is because I don't want them to be picked, but if you walk the trails in May,
Lady slippers.
these are lady slippers. There's a patch of about 25 of them. They're precious and an incentive to get out there. So what you're looking at here is the original submission to the Conservation Commission. I don't know, never having done this before, if I get up and point at places at that screen, can you see this, or is this are we on two different feeds here?
I think there's another camera,
The
so.
camera's right on it.
Yeah.
Because you can see it right there. So it's right on there.
All right, so.
You just need to bring the microphone with you, though.
Okay, I'll try to do most from here.
Yeah.
But, okay, let's see. This will probably be simpler if I do this initially. So, part of the project is already finished. What's referred to as Part 1 of Island Road is down here, closest to the parking
Get
lot.
to the other, turn the other
Can
way.
you go the other way?
There we go.
There you go.
Thank you.
That's better.
So, this is the place, this is closest to the parking lot, this first. This is right up across from Jovanella's. This section right here. This is our big problem, Ridge Street. This is where we have the big drainage off the swale, and there's another section here. This section we haven't started yet, and in the middle here, the causeway and some of the crossings here were taken off of the Concom initial project because they were found to be existing roadway. So hopefully that'll give you some idea of where we are. So we're starting here looking at the Island Road portion of things. I guess we're starting on the causeway. This is what the causeway looked like prior to construction. This is 22 and 23. So if there was any rain, any kind of inclement weather, walking was very difficult and at least a muddy boots and jeans proposition. You can see this is what's been done now. It's a whole different ballgame. The other important thing here is we have maintenance equipment that we have to get in and out. And this keeps the road from rutting and is a stable surface not only for walkers, but for when we have to transfer equipment. You can see on the left corner there is the new trail post with signs. And we'll show you some close-ups of this later. So there's the Island Road part. And this is what we look like before construction. This is the section of the trail that's closest to the Island Road parking lot. that was generally muddy, sloppy, and slippery. This was all done by DPW, a brand-new drainage swale there that's worked out perfectly. And, this is the section across from Joe Vanella's with the bridge. And that was another section that was all nasty and muddy, if you could see in that before slide. And a close-up of what it looks like now. And those boulders on the left are another drainage swale put in by DPW. Another look at that. That's worked out very well. So this is the top of Ridge Street, not where the drainage ditch is, and this was basically became impassable because of the drainage and the mud and the ice in the winter. Although this is what we found out after the big rainstorms in July and in August, that we didn't quite consider how much overflow we're going to do. So I'm going to come up again, and what we're going to do is not
Move your mouse.
Did you check the mic? Just touch.
Timed out.
There we go, thanks. Except I'm on a different slide here. I can probably sit down. We're not gonna change the profile of the trail at all, or do any digging. We're gonna put in some riprap and some 4-inch pipe, and then put gravel over it, so just raise the level. And that should allow the water just to transfer through and preserve the wetlands. And hopefully those improvements are gonna be made soon. Just a note about the budget, and we were saved a lot of money because of not having to put environmental sock in much of this. And that money we're redirecting into these drainage problems that were discovered after these gully washers that we had. So this is the Red Street catch basin. This probably drains, I don't know, 600 yards a big swath. That's what the trail looked like. You can see in January, a little close-up how deep the ruts are and how slippery. That's the flow on this. It looks like a small stream after a snow melt. And I haven't been brave enough to go out during a thunderstorm and take pictures then, but it's probably 2 or 3 times that. And this is what the trail looked like just before construction. So we put gravel down per Concom order, and there's drainage there underneath the trail, and we're going to need to expand on that. Let me go back. And I think I've got another slide later on that will give you a little more detail. But there you can see the boardwalks and the gravel, and you know the improvement is clearly amazing.
What's the boardwalk made out of? Is it wood?
Mm-hmm. That's plywood.
Did we make it, or did it?
Steve Vitale constructed it. We bought the materials and he put them together for us section by section. And I can testify that they're heavy. This is what a lot of the remainder of the budget, hopefully we'll have a remainder of the budget, we'd like to use. There's a number of sections of trail that are heavily rooted like this, and you know, they're tripping hazards, and the older you get, the more dangerous it is. So we went in and had wood chips. Basically, these wood chips were all sourced from Oak Grove. They were stuff that had fallen and just covered those roots. And as you can see, it makes not only is it aesthetically pleasing, but it makes a big difference safety-wise. This is our new trail sign, and Steve Vitale did the framing of this. Horace Aikman did the whole design, put it on, sent it to the printer. It's printed on a piece of aluminum, so basically expecting vandalisms. We think we got a pretty much indestructible sign there. And this is just a close-up of what the map looks like. As you can see that not only did Horace draw the trails in, but, oh, you can't see because I couldn't get it all in, but the length of the trails is on there, so you know how far you're walking, and each of those numbers represents a signpost. So if you're lost or you're hurt, you just pick up your cell phone and direct folks to give you a hand. And this should also help in directing any repairs as well. We probably saved $2,000 in graphic design fees alone from what Horace did for free. And yeah, so this is another view of my favorite catch basin here, and you can kind of see some of the overflow. We have the same thing on Island Road, and we're going to make the same improvements. We're going to put down some 4-inch pipe, not change any width, some riprap, nestle it in there, and cover it with gravel, and that should allow the water to go from one side of the trail to the other with minimal impact on anything. This was all erosion. That's the edge of the boardwalk, and I tried to get some better slides of this, but anything that gave you more of a close-up just looked like a confusing piece of abstract art. So this is about the clearest picture as I could get. But it's why we need to address the problem, and that's after one rainstorm. And we're just going to add some more gravel in here. As I say, hopefully this is going to be remediated immediately. So now we're over to, this is the portion of the property that's on Exchange Street to the right, and it's behind Orchard Street. It's the most remote section of the property, and that's what it looks like now. Plans right now call for a new boardwalk, double row of boardwalks to replace this one. But if you look over here again on the left, sorry. You can kind of see that area is rutted, and we have a problem here, and I think I'm probably going to talk to Concom about it in the near future. We have to get maintenance equipment back in there. And we can put the boardwalks down, but anytime we have to get a piece of equipment, if a tree falls across or some other kind of damage, we're going to be in trouble. So, and you know, I can't say enough about how useful it's been to watch this over the course of a year and kind of reformulate, see what happens with the drainage, see what happens with the seasons. And I think if we get this right, we're going to have 30 years anyway where we weren't going to have to maintain it at all. It should be pretty stable. This is the piece that goes through the Red Maple Swamp. And again, the plan is to replace that with double boardwalks, but we have the same issue there. And that's it, folks. Any questions?
It's beautiful.
Thank you very much.
Well, I think that you had the true test this year with the weather and the rain to really test your trails and see how your design worked. And it was exceptional rain this year, but you know, a few slight improvements on a couple areas, and you know, you're doing well. So, fantastic work.
And I think we're still running good on budget so far. So that's my goal. I'll know more at the end of the year when we make these corrections to the drainage, but it shouldn't be a huge project. Jim, I want to thank you again.
Again, it's always a pleasure to work with people that are doing all the work. I mean, we're you know,
It's true.
you know, the guys like going up there and dealing with people that know what they're doing and what they're talking about. And, you know, it's easy to see, you know, one guy in a tractor cutting grass while you're out doing something else. It's a team effort. It's always been a pleasure working with the Oak Grove Commission from the day I started working here, because again, you see them, they're there every day. You know who they are, you know, they don't need their names mentioned because they don't want it. They don't ask for their names to be mentioned, they're there every single day, like you stated. That group of names that you mentioned, tell me that, when's the last time somebody wasn't up there with every other day or every day?
Can't think of it.
Right.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chair, I walked those trails. Commend you guys as immediate improvement, and, you know, I live around the corner from Oak Grove Farm, and my wife and dogs, we walk, and many times she said, no, I'm not going in there, it's too wet, it's all muddy, and I'm like, no, come this time, they've done some work, and so we went through the center trail, it's raised 6-8 inches of gravel, and so it's noticeable, and keep up the good work. I saw, you know, the red maple area back there, there's still some soggy places you're gonna have to deal with, but it's already much easier to get around and use. And the schools used to use hopefully they still do, they were using it for cross-country track, and hopefully this will make it a little more safe. They're not running over the roots. And
Yeah, we did have the Ridge Street portion finished in time for the cross-country meets, but one of the things I look forward to doing is hopefully getting the schools more involved, maybe do some tours for the elementary school kids, and we don't want to send kids home with mud up to their knees. I think it's a worthwhile project.
Good. Well, no, but my nephew had a cross-country meet there, which kind of blew my mind, Holliston with Millis. And I drive by there a million times, because that's my route, and I am amazed to see the people on the committee there, crossing the street with the tractors. It's really stunning. And I don't think people appreciate that they're not getting paid just on this committee, doing it for love. It's kind of extraordinary.
And they're using their own equipment,
Yeah, I know they are.
using their
And,
own gas, their own.
and for
Well, we
20
did
years, I
see
mean.
reimbursement and gas and
Well, that's-
for some tools and some things.
I know, but seriously, I don't know any
I don't think you catch up
Can
to
we
the
think of
McGinnis
another-
donation yet.
similar situated thing where,
In Millis?
yeah, with this kind of dedication and work and constant, and I
Think
know
you
you
could
said.
find more people to do that, Ellen?
I know, hard.
These guys are getting old now. I
I
think you
know.
might be the young one.
No,
No,
I'm not the,
well, Rob, but
I'm
you're-
the eldest, actually.
Well, if they do what you say, and it doesn't need to be looked at for 30 years, that's good.
Well, you know, Steve McGinnis has just
I know.
done such an enormous amount of work
He's
for
the
so many
leader.
years, and we're,
He likes
you
it
know,
over there.
without his
He
help,
loves it
without
over
his
there.
Loves his
tractor,
town.
we're gonna need some help. We're gonna
I just
be,
picked him up from knee replacement
Uh-oh.
this afternoon, so
Ah,
did the surgery
Yeah.
go well?
you
Today?
can take over.
That's two out of this commission that have had,
Knee?
well, I hope they're not related to this project.
That's where, yeah, we're gonna be suing the town.
I
for
smell a
that.
comp claim.
Wear and tear.
Yeah.
It's good.
No,
Well done.
yeah. No, I mean, it was a great foresight for the town to acquire that
Mm.
back in the day, and
Remember
Sorry.
that,
Certainly
Kathy?
was.
I'm sorry?
Do you remember that?
We just got into town when that happened.
Yep.
Yep.
what year was it?
84.
My father made a,
84.
my father made a speech, I don't want to blow whatever, but he made a speech on town hall floor. Were you at
Well,
that
he
meeting?
he floored everybody by, what did he say?
He said the town,
Buy it.
buy it,
By,
you gotta buy it.
got up and stood
Because
up
it
and
was
said,
one of
"Buy it."
those, the farm thing, that was a bid on the table and the town could match it. And he's a developer, and what kind of developer gets up there and screws another developer? But that was my father, and he said, you gotta buy it, and they passed it. And people, you don't look forward to see that it's a jewel, like you say. It's a farm, Isbicki, remember? couldn't trick or treat there, they shut the lights off.
Shoot it, yeah.
Just another tidbit. You're always afraid. I ran by his Vicky's, remember? It was just crazy. But, and you never knew it was that big, that it went from, I never knew it, because I ran by the house. But the town, they saw it, and it's fabulous. And the other thing that amazes me is how many people use it.
Yes.
A lot. Right?
Not just Millis.
Oh,
No,
from
no.
other towns.
And it's so big, you don't even really bump into that many people, but they use it. Nice.
So do we remember the original price for the purchase? Was it $1 million?
Million, I think,
I think it was around
somewhere
$1 million.
around $1 million.
which
Yeah.
would have been astronomical to people back then. you
Right.
know,
Which would be 15 now,
Easily.
10,
At
15.
least. We're gonna look it up.
I think that's what
That's an easy
Steve,
number.
those people who were originally involved, that was his motivation, to keep it going for the old timers that had the foresight to
Yeah,
keep it as a crown jewel in the town, so
yeah.
glad you guys are seeing to it, every little bit helps.
And just always remember, the least expense to a town is open space that it owns. You're not building schools for
Right,
anyone on it,
right.
you're not building senior centers or increasing police or fire.
Right.
So,
You just
the
watch
the
them
ones
those-
we have now,
The little things, what do you
just
call
watch what you do with it. You just
Lady
mow it.
slippers.
It's a lady
The
slipper.
lady
Don't-
slipper.
don't
Bring the
mow
goats
those.
in, or the lady slippers.
Yep,
Thank you.
yep.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Dave, and thank you to the rest of the Oak Grove Farm Commission and volunteers.
And for the people for approving this at town meeting.
Yes, and hopefully you'll be done by end of '24.
Hopefully, we'll be done by the end of '24. That is the hope.
And are you actively looking for volunteers to help out?
Always.
Okay. And how can they reach the Oak Grove Farm Committee?
It's on the town website.
It's on the town website? Okay.
Mhm.
So-
People that don't have it, what do they call the selectman's office, and you'll be referred to.
Kathleen Smith is our wonderful secretary, and she happens to be the assistant town clerk. So if you call town hall and ask to speak to Kathy, I'm sure that she'll direct you in the right manner.
Super. Well, again, thank you for presenting, and good luck on the rest of the venture here.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else have any other comments, ideas, anything else? I'm going to close our meeting.
I make a motion to close the public hearing?
Second?
Second.
Second, moved and second to close the meeting for December 14th, 2023. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in tonight, and we appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, do you want us to,
We
that was
can-
the public
we have a
TV
problem.
portion, you
Right.
were closing.
Yeah.
I use
Yeah,
an
we-
Apple, and this drive has to be ejected, and I don't know
So
how
we
to
have-
eject
where
the
is it?
So
drive.
just drag it.
Yeah, we just have.
No,